Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Fantasy Football Universe. I am Aaron St. Dennis. Follow me everywhere at FFMadScientist, joined by Jesse Moeller at JMoeller05. I got to admit, Jesse, StreamYard switched over to this thing where you can queue up your intro automatically, and every time I do it, I think I've had a minor stroke because there's this little brief, when I click it, there's this brief half second where it shows us before it queues it up, and I briefly have that moment of panic where I'm like, oh no, I fucked this up, didn't I? You did not. We rolled and we're good. We are here today to talk some week 6 fantasy football waiver wire targets. Some must-add guys. I guess we're using the must-add term a little bit loosely. Try to have some guys here. So it's 2 pages for each position, so 10 overall. Some of them are thinner than others. Some of them, like I said, the cutoff is 75%. Anyone over 75%, not going to be in here. As you see, Sam Darnold will likely never see himself again on this show. I forget who it was in my article. I wrote something on the waiver wire article over at fantasyfootballuniverse.com. And I said, this is the last time you will ever see this player in this category. Might have been Wandell because he was at 74%, but
right.
If they're under 75%, we have them here. Obviously, I say, hey, this is the guy I would prefer. But, if the guy at 75% is available in your league, having said that, if the guy at 9, if Jaden Daniels is available in your league, go get him. Ignore anything I'm talking about now. I'm just assuming that Jaden Daniels is 98% rostered. So, use common sense when looking at these. Don't just blindly follow us. Because I said, hey, Joe Flacco's the best guy on this target. Go add him. Well, no, if Jalen Hurts is available, go add him. He shouldn't be fucking available, but I'm in a guillotine league where Josh Allen is available this weekend. I'll be putting in, or this week, I'll be putting in a bid over Josh Allen, significantly higher than that of Joe Flacco. Just saying, but.
Yes. If the elite guys, please go get them. Don't listen to us anymore. Just go get them.
So here's the first page of targets. It's not necessarily in any particular order. Some of the guys I like on this page a little more. Maybe last week I think you liked a lot of the second page guys better, but we'll start with these ones at quarterback. I got to write my damn time stamp down because StreamYard screwed us for that, and now we have to do it manually. I got Sam Darnold, 75%, Caleb Williams, 59%, Flacco at 13% owned, Trevor Lawrence, 47%, Aiden O'Connell, 4%, QB 10 for Darnold, QB 19 for Caleb, 30 for Flacco, 17 for Lawrence, which is surprisingly high given how bad he's been, and 37 for O'Connell. Obviously, I think Darnold, it seems to be different categories here. So Darnold and Flacco, for me, are the ones where they're nasty, they're ugly fill-ins here, and I have full confidence starting them, but I feel like at any given moment, they could completely evaporate. I feel like Caleb and Trevor Lawrence are mid to low end QB2s right now, but I'm buying them low or adding them low on the assumption that I think there's much more potential here. And Aiden O'Connell, I included here. He's kind of the desperation stash, assuming the Raiders are transitioning to Aiden O'Connell. So of these 5, he is by far my least favorite. What do you think of these 5 quarterbacks, Jesse?
Yeah, I think if you're doing the Aiden O'Connell thing, it's a rough go. You might want to look at someone like Tua Tagovailoa, who is on 30, he's on 63% of available rosters, in redraft leagues. So I would much prefer that category because we've seen their offense, it's so much better. But of these guys, Flacco's just point production. They just pass a ton. They do what they do. Same thing with Darnold. You know what you're getting. I'm expecting most leagues Darnold's gone. So if my options are these 4, I'm going to choose Caleb over those because he has the upside. Last week we saw it. Now I'll caveat that by saying that with the Panthers. Every team is good against the Panthers, so I do want to see a little bit more. But you kind of want to chase the upside with Caleb because he's the one guy that gives you the rushing element. Lawrence to a little bit as well, but Caleb has a higher rushing floor, so I would choose that. And then if you're doing the Flacco or Lawrence thing, I would just treat it week to week and play matchups because in good matchups, they both can be super productive. In bad matchups, we saw it with Darnold against the Jets. He struggled because it was really good defense. So you kind of have to take it week by week.
See, this one's weird for me. Even if I include Darnold in the list, assuming that I'm going to assume he's available. You're right, though. He's probably not. But say for argument's sake, he is. I still don't think he's my top option here. I get it. He's been by far the best. I feel like he's on his way down here while the others are on their way up. So for me, I think it's Caleb Williams as the easy number one here. Then it's between Darnold and Lawrence for me, where I guess I'm still probably going Darnold because we haven't seen if the Jags are fully going to turn it around. Then it would be Flacco, and Aiden O'Connell is a desperation. Like, I have a situation where my quarterbacks are Aaron Rodgers and Deshaun Watson in Superflex. Aiden O'Connell is on my bench and may find his way into the lineup, but I don't like it, even with those two options. Although I do expect the Jets to turn it around here. Saleh out. You had to figure Rodgers was involved in that. Maybe Devontae Adams in. So the Jets could be turning shit around here. But so for me, assuming everyone's available, I've got it Caleb, Darnold, Lawrence, Flacco, O'Connell.
Yeah, that's totally fine. The one thing I will say, talking about bad defenses, Lawrence goes up against Caleb and the Bears, and that defense is like one of the better defenses in the NFL. So I really don't want to stream T-Law this week. I would just skip over him. Like, I would rather go Caleb. And then there's another guy that's on this list who plays the Carolina Panthers. It's Kirk Cousins. Like, I would take that if you're looking for immediate impact because he's available in, like, I think a good amount of leagues too. So, like, I would choose him over those guys just because of the matchup he plays, and we've seen it, like, a good offense.
I switched to the second page of quarterbacks here. Kirko is not on them. He was over 75. I think he's 79 or 81. So like I said, anyone over 75 I couldn't include. So this page we've got Andy Dalton, 20% rostered, QB 28. Bo Nix, 19% rostered, QB 15. Gino, 64% rostered, QB 5. Danny Dimes, QB 14, 16% rostered. Justin Fields, 70% rostered, and QB 9. This one's tougher for me. I think I actually like this group a little bit more here. I would say, so Andy Dalton's going to be 5 for me. I think I like Bo Nix. I'm really turning around with Bo Nix. I love him more in Dynasty. For redraft, I think Bo Nix is 4. I have a hard time picking number 1. My instincts tells me it's Geno, but Geno, Daniel Jones, and Justin Fields should be rostered in every league. I think I have it as Geno, Daniel Jones, Justin Fields, just because I don't necessarily trust Fields long-term, and I don't trust Daniel Jones long-term. So I think all 3 have similar upside. They're the best 3 rushing quarterbacks out of these 10. I just feel like Geno's got equal, maybe a little less upside than Daniel Jones and Justin Fields, but he has a far higher floor. So I have it Geno, Jones, Field, interchangeable, Nix, Dalton. What do you think about these 5?
Yeah, like Fields the guy I'm going to continue to target because of the rushing upside. I will say Geno plays the 49ers this week, so I'm a little trepidatious or like scared of Geno just because I don't know how that matchup's going to go. Like we saw,
didn't matter for Kyler.
Yeah, like we'll see how it goes because they were under serious pressure all game, and that was against the Giants. Now you go against 49ers. I know their defense struggled a little bit. It's still the 49ers defense, so I think long term Geno is by far the safest.
Of note, sorry to interrupt, but of note, I'm getting an update here. Russell Wilson was a full participant at practice today. I wouldn't have interrupted you, but I think, well, I don't know, but that's another reason why I have Fields the lowest of the 3. I think you're right. He has top 3 or 5, and I know Geno's finished as 5. Daniel Jones is 7. Fields worries me. So sorry, continue. I just thought I'd throw that in there.
No, yeah, no, you're totally fine. I will say if you're chasing the mobile quarterbacks, it's just the higher floor. That's what they are. If you want the ceiling, that's where the passing game comes in. So like Bo Nix is not going to be a ceiling play. It's going to be more a floor play just because he's not a good passer yet. That's kind of just is what it is. You can play him in matchups. It's fine. So I would treat these guys in matchup dependent. I think Geno's the safest. If I'm shooting the upside each week, it's Fields. Like we see it each and every week. They let him run. And look at the numbers down below. The rushing is like far superior to everyone else. It gives him a massive high floor. So I'll keep chasing Justin Fields until, Russell Wilson does come back, if he comes back at all this year.
I think that's why Andy Dalton's the lowest of the 5 for me. The passing totals are good. I expect them to stabilize a bit like you've seen last week, but he's the only one of these 4 or 5, I guess, who is not really rushing the ball. Like Bo Nix is a rushing fool here, man. Daniel Jones has the lowest rushing out of the top 4, and that's saying something. Like, I think personally, I can't see why they're not running Daniel Jones more. That was always his strong suit here for fantasy. So I really like, if I have room on my bench, well, super flex, I think you have to have all these guys rostered, but single QB, like I don't mind if I have to stream any of these guys. Boom, like Gino's the one I have by far the most confidence in. I'm starting him in Scott Fishbowl over Anthony Richardson. The other three, I'm not necessarily looking to bench Richardson for, but if Richardson doesn't play, I'm fine firing up any of these 5, but Dalton's the one I like least. So I think there's some decent options on the waiver wire here. For
and like Daniel, I will say Daniel Jones goes against Cincinnati, and their defense is atrocious. They can't stop anybody right now. So if you want to fire up Daniel Jones this week, I'm fine going and chasing Daniel Jones.
Agreed. All right, let's switch over here to the first sheet of running backs. They are Tank Bigsby, 31% rostered, RB 36. Chase Brown, 71% owned, RB 27. Roshan Johnson, 31% rostered, and RB 43. Tyrone Tracy's 34% rostered, RB 54. Tyler Algier, 39% rostered, RB 51. This literally should just be titled the elite handcuff backs with some standalone value, because we've seen like all 5 of these guys are producing in a backup role enough to be on the fantasy football map. If any of them carves out a larger role or takes over the role, they could all be studs. Obviously, for me, number 5 here, despite the fact that he's probably producing the best in most weeks, Algier is 5 for me, because I think Algier, we would agree, Algier's the only one of these 5 who has no chance of winning the job outright. Like I could see a scenario where Bigsby takes over for ETN, Brown for Moss, Roshan for Swift. Tracy already did it this week with Singletary, but outside of a Bijan injury, Algier's a 50-50 at best. I think if I had to rank this, I love me some Tyrone Tracy, because I know he's probably the riskiest, but I think he has the best shot of just never giving this job back to Singletary. Then I'm going Bigsby, Brown, Roshan, and Algier last. What do you think of these 5?
Yeah, I think Roshan actually needs an injury. Like they had the chance to go to Roshan, and they decided to go back to Swift. So that kind of tells us
Swift's playing really well.
Yeah, and like he had 2 extremely juicy matchups. He was just better, and Roshan got the touchdowns, but his role's not great. So I think Roshan falls in the
getting all the passing.
Yeah, like I think he needs an injury, like similar to Algier, to really be a guy you can confidently start. Where you're talking about RB2 or better. I think if you want short-term production where you know they're on the field, it's going to be Chase Brown, because Zach Moss is dealing the injury. So like if you need the production now that you're 100% want the production, Chase Brown's a bet I would take. If we want upside bet, it's between Tracy and Bigsby. Bigsby's also stealing the role from ETN, who's dealing with a shoulder injury, but I think the Moss injury is worse, so that's why I go with that. But yeah, like for me, like on our Dynasty show, which I was talking about, like Tracy's the guy I'm targeting just because he looks different compared to Singletary. It's a different type of explosive athlete who just brings more to the field. So I get it. Singletary was dealing with a groin injury, and that could be multiple weeks. So we're gonna get some runway of Tracy. I just don't know how long it's gonna be. But yeah, Tracy's the guy I'm targeting, and then it would be Brown and Bigsby. Those would be the top 3 by far of this group, and then it's Roshan and Algier. Is how I would personally rank them. We actually have a question from Jason, so I'm curious. Would you drop Ford for Bigsby in half PPR? Would you chase that with Bigsby, or would you hold Ford? Because we have Nick Chubb coming back.
Depends. Yeah, I'm not. That's one where I'm not so sure Nick Chubb is. Like, I think he might be the entire 3 weeks to get back out of his window here. Then, even when he comes back, I think Ford still has a role. This depends on roster construction for me. If I'm not playing Ford, or if I'm only flexing Ford and I can go to, say, a receiver, I'm willing to take the shot and swing for the fences with Bigsby. If I have to start this guy as my RB2, just give me Ford. I get it. Chubb could be back, but Ford seems safer. I think for the rest of the year, even with Chubb back, Ford is still in at worst a 50-50 split. I get this offense sucks, but I think, like I said, roster dependent. What do you think?
Yeah, I'll shoot the upside shot with Bigsby and see how it goes. Because like we're seeing Ford in that role, and like the Deshaun Watson offense is really just limiting them as a whole. So like I'll take a piece and see where it goes with Bigsby. But to your point, yeah, if you need the production, I'm fine keeping Ford. But in most situations, I'm gonna swing for the fences with Bigsby and see how it goes. Because if he does take the job from ETN, which he's definitely at least a 50-50 split right now. Like if he takes that job, like he's just far more valuable than what Ford's giving you. So like that's kind of how I think about it as well.
He's just not I don't think there's any chance he takes the pass catching role. So that kind of limits his upside. Second page here, we have some more useful guys. I don't like this page as much. I obviously like Bucky Irving, 68% rostered, RB 38. Braylon Allen, 58% rostered, RB 37. Dare Agumbawale, I guess if you really wanted, you could put Cam Akers in here. Cam Akers seems more touchdown dependent. Agumbawale, it seems Cam Akers is getting all the rushing. Agumbawale, as you can see, is getting the receiving. He's 4% rostered, RB 39, which is impressive because he's only played like 2 games. Trey Sermon, 66% owned, RB 50. Jaleel McLaughlin, 27% rostered, RB 45. I prefer Bucky pretty close with Braylon Allen, mile behind to Jaleel McLaughlin, Trey Sermon, Agumbawale. Like for me, these two in Irving and Allen are closer to this group here. They might even sneak up ahead of Roshan or Algier if I had to rank all these out of 10. And then these 3 are by far the last 3 for me.
100%. I would much rather. Bucky's in the Bigsby tier for me. Like Bucky's a guy I want everywhere because he like even if he's in a split, he's in a very valuable split and a good offense. So like it's totally fine. Braylon Allen's like the one guy of all this group. Like with the Aaron Rodgers offense, I know it struggled, but that role, if an injury happens to Brees, he becomes the far most valuable guy on this list. And for the Texans guys, actually, it's Dameon Pierce. I would shoot the moon for overall Agumbawale over Cam Akers because he's been injured, but when he's going to come back, he's more than likely the RB2 on that team. So we have Mixon also coming back soon. So it's whoever the Texans running back is, like between Agumbawale or Akers. I don't really want either one of those guys because multiple running backs are coming back to take their job. Sermon's just like short-term replacement. So if you need points, like go chase Sherman because we don't know how long the injury is going to be for JT, but high ankle sprains, man, they take a long time to heal. So Sermon could be an RB2 for you for like a month. And that's pretty valuable if you need points. I'm fine with him. I'm honestly just not that interested in McLaughlin. Like, man, that offense is just, it's something else. So like, McLaughlin's going to be like 10th of all these guys for me, which is unfortunate because I really liked him. It's not going well for him right
now. So like I said, I'd rank this page here. Irving, Allen, then the other 3 I have no real interest in. I guess let's move on to the wide receivers. We have first page here is Darnell Mooney, 65% rostered, wide receiver 15. Wan'Dale Robinson, 72%, wide receiver 18. I was amazed that those 2 are that high in the rankings. That tells you how sneaky they've been. Jalen Tolbert, 17% rostered, wide receiver 29. Alec Pierce, 19% rostered, wide receiver 21. Josh Downs, 54% rostered, wide receiver 57. My least favorite out of these 2 are the Colts, and just because there's more mouths to feed there. I think this one's tough. Jalen Tolbert's 3 for me. I'm normally decisively Wan'Dale here, but this might be the first time I'm actually buying into Darnell Mooney, which means he's probably going to be a bust from here on out. But how would you rank these?
I like Mooney and Wan'Dale. I actually like Downs with that group as well. With Flacco, Downs is extremely valuable, like targets per out run, all that stuff. He's really, really good. So as long as Flacco's the starting quarterback, which is kind of the whole like fly in the ointment for the Colts pass catchers, the Pierce stuff is weird, man. Like he's just completely just catching these 50-yard bombs for touchdowns each week. Like he's consistently outproducing like a guy like Josh Downs and Michael Pittman. So he only had 3 targets last week. It's really hard to trust it, but I get it. If he's like we talked about on Sunday, he's a better and best ball guy. I can't trust him. I can't put him in my lineups, but he continues to score, so I'll look foolish. But for me, like Wan'Dale's role is such a scam, but it works. We saw against the Seahawks, still solid targets, will still give you double-digit points. And Mooney's the number wide receiver 2 of Kirk Cousins' offense. So like Mooney and Wan'Dale are the top 2 for me. And then I would say Downs, then Tolbert, then Pierce is how I would have these guys.
All right. Let's check the second page I've got here. Don't like these options nearly as much. Jordan Whittington, 35% owned, wide receiver 62. Rashad Bateman, 13% owned, wide receiver 52. Keon Coleman, 71% owned, wide receiver 61. Demario Douglas, 12% owned, wide receiver 69. De'Ami Brown, 0% owned, wide receiver 84. L. Smith, I wonder, I was thinking, he was one of the people I was thinking about. we had some start sit calls, and I wonder if you listened to any of my advice, because I was looking back between my Rashi Rice call yesterday and some of my start sit questions this weekend. I was looking back and I was on fucking fire this weekend. Chris Olave, who no one believed me, Chris Olave was terrible, and Rashid Shaheed was awesome, and nobody listened to me all weekend long. So I hope you listen to me. I think so.
He's out targeting. His targets per route run and everything is higher than Olave. Like, I put out a tweet. I was like, we need to have a conversation about these two because he's consistently out producing. So we'll see, man. We'll see. He's awesome.
So for me, I don't really know how to rank these 5. I guess it's Whittington because he seems to be the most productive. Coleman because I think he has the most upside. Douglas, Brown, Bateman. I don't really want anyone on this page. Whittington if I need a desperation start this weekend.
Yeah, if you need points, yeah. Like if you need points, you chase Whittington, you do that. I'll take the shot on Coleman. I'm not doing Bateman, man. Like it's so hard to trust even Zay Flowers in that offense. You're telling me I gotta get another wide receiver? No thanks. De'Ami Brown. If we're going for like these ancillary pieces, I'm gonna take an upside shot on Jalen Polk in the Patriots offense when Drake May, because he's supposedly gonna start soon. Like I would rather roster Jalen Polk over De'Ami Brown, players like that, just because he could be Drake May's number 1 wide receiver. That could be valuable for you down the stretch. But yeah, Pop Douglas is at least giving you kind of like a, not quite what like Wandale is doing, but he's giving you some production. So he's a desperation flex play as well in the meantime. Like a bit okay. Like you see the production is like double that of De'Ami Brown. I think it's fine. We don't know on CFC.
He's out. He's not playing this week. We're week 6 for sure. It doesn't sound like he's close to. Actually, to tell you the truth, I'm trying to get out on him for redraft leagues to anyone who will buy, because it sounds like he's getting worse instead of getting better. Like the tendonitis looks getting worse. So
the injury guys are saying like week 10, and then to Elspeth's question on Neighbors, like he should be back. It's a concussion. Unless it's a severe concussion, he'll be back the following week. So I would expect him to be back unless we hear news on him. I don't know. But for everything we've heard on Neighbors, he should be back. Just got to keep an update and news on that.
All right. That brings us to the first page of tight ends.
Throw it all on Kraft.
Wasteland. So Tucker Kraft, 65% owned, tight end 3. Cole Kmet, 74% owned, tight end 6. Cade Otton, 44%, tight end 19. Tyler Conklin, 30% owned, tight end 14. Eric All, 6% owned, tight end 26. I knew Eric All was going to have his worst game of the season because I started him over Mark Andrews everywhere. This one is easy. This is Tucker Kraft by a bajillion miles. Yes. Then it's easily Cole Kmet. Then it's Cade Otton, Tyler Conklin, Eric All for me. And it's pretty obvious for me. I don't really want, at this point, Eric All kind of is a desperation option, but Tucker Kraft's the guy to own if he's available.
Yeah, there's a fun stat that I saw on Tucker Kraft. It's like tight ends 23 or younger with 140 yards, 3 TDs over 2-game stretch. There's only 2 other names, and it's both Patriots tight end. It's Aaron Hernandez and Rob Gronkowski. That kind of shows you the company he's in. Now, I really don't like Aaron Hernandez, but even on like points per, like his PPR points with Jordan Love is 15.9. Like it's absurd. So if you can get Tucker Kraft, throw all your money on Tucker Kraft because tight end is such a dumpster fire. I don't mind Cole Kmet, but like it's so up and down with the other pieces. If like one of those guys was out for the year, I'd be much more bullish. I trust him. This is kind of how this list goes. You can do. I would prefer Conklin over Otton, but it's the same. And he's only playing in I think like 12 personnel. I think he's like that's legit his role. Outside of that, it's Mike Gesicki's actually getting more out. So until that changes for Eric All, it's kind of just like it just is what it is, which is unfortunate because he seems promising, but he's a long time away. In Dynasty, get whatever you can from Musgrave. Like it's weird. He's like a handcuff tight end at this point because Kraft looks like the tight end. So yeah, if you can, sure, I guess, but like you can't play Musgrave. Like you can't do anything with him.
Where do we think Devontae goes? Steelers, Jets,
Ravens,
at this point?
I have no idea. I'm rooting for the Ravens just because I want to see that offense with him. That'd be really fun.
This is where we get a little bit more desperate on the second page. We've got 2 Ravens, Charlie Kohler, unowned, 0%, tight end 30. Isaiah Likely, 60%, tight end 5. Dalton Schultz, 63%, tight end 24. That's amazingly low given the fact that he plays every game. Brenton Strange, 11% tight end, 12. Colby Parkinson, 39% tight end, 13. For me, this is probably going to be Parkinson because I think his role is the safest. Isaiah Likely, I guess, second, then Brenton Strange, then Schultz, then Kohler. I have no real interest in Schultz other than if you need a bye week or whatever replacement who's going to get you 5 to 8 points. Kohler, I think, is a mirage. Strange, I like the most, but Evan Engram is going to be back sooner than later, I think. I think Likely's probably the second best here, and Colby Parkinson. Parkinson, I think, and Likely are my two favorites on here. Strange would be in this group if I knew Strange had the role for another month, but I don't know. What do you think here?
Yeah. This is kind of just like we're boom bust touchdown dependent tight ends. So like I'm not a big fan of Likely. I don't mind chasing it among this group because he's had the boom weeks, 2 of them pretty major weeks. Kohler, yeah, good luck with that. Like that just seems like a fluky situation with that 1 week. And I would prefer Parkinson rest of the season over Schultz or Strange because we know Ingram's coming back, right? If you're telling me Strange was in that role all season, like he would be the top guy on this list. It's just we know Ingram's coming back, so it's unfortunate for Strange. So you just kind of run out Strange until Ingram comes back. It's kind of what it is. So yeah, I would say Likely Parkinson are the same group, and then just throw a dart on Schultz, I guess. But I don't really want the rest of the guys to tell you the truth.
All right, let's give this a wrap here with we'll start back at quarterback. Of the 10 guys, I guess if you want to go off board, feel free to. One, your favorite target if you need one for this week, and your favorite target rest of season. You want to go first at quarterback, or you want me to?
You can go first. Go ahead.
For this week, I think my favorite is that's a tough one. My favorite is Sam Darnold, I guess. Wait, I just got to double check. They're on bye week, aren't they? Let me double check that. I say Darnold, having not remembered. I have the matchups written down here somewhere. Yes, okay. So it's Rams, Dolphins, Vikings, Chiefs on bye. So take that back. It can't be Sam Darnold. I am going to go with Geno this week as my 1 week, and rest of season I want Caleb. I know Geno has, what did he have? He has the Niners on Thursday Night Football. That's not great. Didn't matter to Kyler. So give me Geno this week, Caleb long-term. Caleb gets the Jags this week, so I don't mind that. What do you think?
Yeah, that's a good matchup. I'm still going to roll with Fields. I'll take Fields until it burns me just because of the production. The rushing is right there. And then I'm fine with Caleb. And then if you need someone outside this list, Kirk Cousins. He's only rostered 41% of leagues, so I'm kind of surprised with that. So I'll take Kirk Cousins against the Carolina Panthers this week. Like that's a so saucy matchup.
All right, let's do the same thing here for running back. Sorry, that's next. Who's your this week guy and who's your rest of season guy?
This week guy, if Singletary is still out, I will take Tracy because like we're both really big Tracy fans, so that's who we're going to run into. Outside of that, on this group, I will take Chase Brown because Zach Moss looks to be out, so he'll be the other guy I would shoot. And then
this one's tough for me because I don't know if Singletary's out.
Mm-hmm.
I think not knowing if Singletary is out, I want Bigsby for this week and Tracy rest of season. If I knew Singletary was out, I'd go Tracy this week, but it's a little too early. Nico being out should raise Schultz. You would think that, but Dell being out didn't seem to help him. I guess if you're just assuming he's going to get the volume, he still kind of sucks. Hey, guys, should I trade Mason for Achane? My other running backs are Barkley and Gibbs. At this point, I think I prefer Mason. I know CMC is going to be back. I think you have to make this because Mason's going to be gone, but you just Achane's going to suck until Tua comes back. Mason's going to suck once CMC comes back. So I guess you're 4-1. You can afford to take the immediate hit, and I'd go Achane.
Yeah, and like the Dolphins have the bye, and then Tua should be back. So like you're gonna miss one more Miami Dolphins game. They're gonna play one game, they're gonna have a bye, and then Tua should be back in week 8. So like I'm fine making this move because you're 4-1. You can kind of lose the production from Mason in the short term. You get Achane back, and he should be that dynamic running back we saw in the first 2 weeks. So yeah, I'm fine making this move because this is probably a very much a buy low point on Achane, and like I put Mason as like a sell high because you're going to get this window for the next few weeks, but it's going to short term. Like it's going to dry up when CMC comes back. So I know he's trying to come back, but it's more than likely like week 10 at the latest. Could be week 8. So we'll see with CMC.
All right, let's move on to wrap up the wide receivers here. I think rest of season and this week, it's tough for me, but it's the same two guys, Darnell Mooney, Wan'Dale Robinson. I feel like I want Wan'Dale this week. Maybe it's Darnell Mooney in both. I don't know. Neighbors is going to be back. I think it's Darnell Mooney either way.
I'm fine with Wan'Dale. I think these are the same group. So if either one of them is available, because like in most exams, they're not available. So if either one of Mooney or Wan'Dale are available, I want them. The next guy is actually Josh Downs for me. So I would say Josh Downs out of this group. Just because how good he's been. I think he could still survive with Richardson. But yeah. And then I would say if you really need it, you go Tolbert. Because Tolbert's been good, man. Tolbert's been good.
All right, let's wrap this up with the tight ends. This is only one answer here. It's Tucker Kraft this week, Tucker Kraft rest of season. I imagine you don't have any disagreement with that.
Tucker Kraft by a billion. Yeah, Tucker Kraft all day.
Yeah. All right, well, that is a wrap. So our targets were Tucker Kraft at tight end for both of us. Wide receiver, we both said Darnell Mooney, correct?
Yep, and Wan'Dale. Like, I like both of those guys.
Yeah. Running backs, I think we both agreed Tyrone Tracy and Hank Bigsby, completely different show. I won't go there. And quarterbacks, we had a difference of opinion. I said Caleb and Gino. And who were your two?
Fields and Gino.
Fields and Gino. Okay, so we both like Gino. All right, well, that's a wrap for Waiver Wire Week 6. Check back tomorrow. What's tomorrow? In NFC home games because it's Niners Seahawks?
I think so.
Niners Seahawks.
Yep.
All right, check back tomorrow. I guess I should mention to Jesse, I think we're going to be starting 15 minutes or half hour late. Might be a 12:30 show, so check in. I have a physio appointment, and I might not be out in time. So somewhere between 12 and 12:30 tomorrow, we will be back for NFC must-sit, must-start game previews. Thank you all for tuning in. We will see you.